What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 17 of To the Show We Go, featuring Ed Hand and myself, Andrew Parker. If you didn't get a chance to check out episode 16, we had Ryan Zephyrjohn of Portland, actually, and he's a KU guy, so I let that slide a little bit. Not a big KU guy, but he kind of talks about what it's like out there in Kansas, out in the middle of nowhere, what it was like living in Portland, just his year. He's Rule 5 eligible, so he kind of talked about a lot. And definitely stuff I didn't even know about the guy because he's not a Twitter guy. He's not really a big social media guy unless he's going to a Chiefs game. So definitely check that one out. But we have our first Worcester guy of the year right here, Brendan Nail. Brendan, I got the chance to hang out with you probably every home game, but how was your 2023 year as a whole?
My 2023 year was fantastic. It's the best way I could put it. I think I came in from the offseason into spring training, ready to go. I felt strong. I felt aggressive. I felt just great as a whole as a pitcher. So I was able to carry it over when I started in Portland. I put together 2 good months, and I just sort of put my hand in there and said, hey, like, guys, I'm still here. I'm ready to go. Like, I know this is year 7, but got to Worcester, got the ball rolling, sort of got my feet wet into a lot of different situations. And I'm happy with it. I think there are bumps in the road, but you just got to keep driving over them and just keep going.
You know, you were an undrafted guy. Do you feel like that put a little bit of a chip on your shoulder just going through the system? Like you didn't use a draft pick on me, but I'm gonna outwork you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think I always try to carry that mantra of like, hey man, like you're not supposed to be here. You never did get drafted. But it's always been a driving force in the regular season and in the off season, just to say, hey, look, like somebody took a chance on you. So let's take advantage of that chance.
What was it like? You had a absolute dominant run in Portland to start this year. What was it like just going out to the mound every day? And I'm pretty sure you had a .99 ERA whenever you got called up. So what was that like, I guess, just every time you were on the mound in your Portland experience this year?
I think in the beginning, before I really started to look at the stat sheet after every outing, I just wanted to go out there and just perform. I didn't worry about, I need to strike this many guys out before this many innings. I just really wanted to go out there and put my best effort forward. I felt my preparation had put me in such a good spot that I didn't have to focus as much on the fine details. I felt that my fine details were set in stone. So I had to go out there and just play. And as the numbers began to sort of grow and become what they were, I paid attention to them. I'm not going to lie about that, but I enjoyed it. It was fuel to the fire.
I mean, you had just looking at the numbers here, even before we came on, I was saying like you had a really, really good time with Portland. How long was it that you were waiting to get that call up, and how did what was the conversation like when they told you were going up to Worcester?
Epi tried to give me the strong hand and try to come up with something, but at the end of the day, he was just like, "Hey man, like I think you understand why you're in my office." I wouldn't say I was really looking forward to the call up or anticipating it. But I did recognize after it was the Somerset series where I went in early to a game, was able to cover 3.2, and that was the chip. I remember Sean came up to me and told me, he's like, hey, man, like if we win this game, it's because of you. And that's when it sort of hit me of like, man, I really put myself into a good stretch, into a good position. And if I get called up, I get called up. If not, I'm going to continue this. I'm not going to fold or say, hey, all right, this is the peak. Like I wanted to keep going.
And so what was it like once you got to Worcester and I guess got in with it was I think you had gotten there when there was still like a pretty good mix of vets. There were some guys like Goodrum and Faria, I think, was still around, and just Greg
Yeah.
Allen, just a few guys like that. I think were still there. What was it kind of like as your first experience of going from AA to AAA?
It's really the work ethic, I think. And it sort of shows, like, if you have a report time of 1:30 for a 6:30 game, if you show up at 1:00, you're probably the last one in the clubhouse. So I think that was one of the things I tried to focus on and sort of read off of the other players is what is their schedule like? What are they doing to prepare every day? Because it is a business when you get to AAA and to the big leagues, because anything can really happen.
So I'm looking at your numbers from college, and did you play your third season at Western Carolina? Was that before or after you played in the Cape League?
That was before. So I finished my junior year, and my coach had gotten me the opportunity to play with Coach Pick and YD, and that was where it all started.
Yeah, like what happened there? Because your numbers just looking at it, it's like looking at a different picture here. Like the ERA for the season for you was 6.67, but then for Yarmouth, 1.04 over 26 innings, 32 strikeouts. Like what happened there that kind of, it seems like it was something that was pretty decisive for your career.
It was the move to the bullpen. From my freshman year to my junior year, I was predominantly a starter at Western, and I think I had to create a different role for myself. Being a starter, I had to try to use my pitches differently. So I think becoming a reliever gave me that opportunity to say, hey, like, you're going to go out there for one inning. Like, go give it your best. You have your three best pitches. You can sort of just give it all you got. You don't have to conserve energy. And I think that's what sort of gave my pitches life and gave me life as well, and a new start to say, hey, like, this could be a new beginning if you can handle the different opportunities.
I want to ask you, what was it like pitching at Western, or what was it even just like playing at Western Carolina? I don't think I'm not too familiar with it.
It's tough. It's a hitter's ballpark for sure. And I think the whole conference is a hitter's conference. You'll have windy days where it is howling out to center field, and you'll have your cold days. I think it was as much of a upbringing of a culture to understand, like, this is not a big time SEC school where you're playing in front of a lot of fans or a lot of I wouldn't say pressure. I don't believe in pressure, but it's just a different atmosphere. It makes you appreciate the game better playing in smaller parts.
What conference is that?
It's the Southern Conference.
So like, who's like else is in it?
It's we have UNCG, VMI, Furman, Samford, Wofford. App used to be in it. They obviously switched to the Sun Belt pretty much right when I got there. It's a strong baseball conference out of all the sports. I think football, there's maybe two teams. I mean, I speak of that, but Western is finally good this year, so it sort of gives you something to cheer for.
Man, so I'm just looking at your 2017 season, and you went from college to the Cape Cod League, and I'm guessing that somewhere between the Cape and after that you got signed, because then you went to Lowell for 2 games, you got a win there. Then you went to Greenville and got a win there. I mean, what a busy season. What was the chain of events there? Like, how soon after the Cape Cod League did you sign? Because I know you were undrafted. How'd that go down?
I actually signed. Well, it was almost like a letter of intent. It was after the All-Star game in the Cape. I was approached by several Boston scouts, and they put together a damn good offer, and it was impossible for me to pass it up. But at the time, I wanted to finish the season with my Cape team. We had 2 weeks left, and we had a run at the playoffs. So made an agreement with them. So the day that we finished in the Cape, I was shipped off to Lowell. And the funny thing about that is my sister's wedding was that Labor Day weekend. So I had already planned to leave and try to come back. And in Lowell, that's when I got called up and they were like, hey, like, I know your sister's wedding is this Saturday. Like, will you plan to drive or fly? And I was like, well, it's going to fly. I'd try to meet y'all back in Brooklyn. And he goes, I think you should just drive down and just stay for the rest of the year. And I was rattled. I was like, shit, did I just get cut? I said, I've been here for 2 weeks. But that's when they explained to me that I was going to be in Greenville to finish the season. So yeah, it was a busy year, but man, it was fantastic.
Now, are you from around there?
I am. I'm from Greensboro.
What was a lot when you were pitching? There was like a lot of your family coming to watch. Like that must have been cool.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And it was even better because in 2016, when I won a conference championship with Western, we won it on or at Ford Field where the Greenville Drive play. So to then turn around and win the next year is the Greenville Drive champions it was crazy.
You're a free agent this offseason. What has that been like for you? And I guess like I never asked you about this during the season, but were you ever thinking about it like throughout this past year?
Absolutely. That was probably one of my biggest drivers from the start, is to say like, hey man, this is it. This is your year 7. It's the last year you're on your contract. Like, you need to make the most of it. So I understood all the way throughout the year, highs or lows. I said, man, like, you got to give it all you got, because if you don't sign next year, then I guess that's all she wrote. But if I can put together a good resume and a good just performance throughout the year, then it's going to give me the best shot to sign for the next year.
Now, completely don't feel like you have to tell us any specifics or anything like that. But have you been having any conversations with any teams yet?
I've spoken to my agent. I think we're in good conversation. I just texted him today. We're just hearing everything out. I think it is a very busy time for free agency. So it's going to be something that comes down to a season like near November or December. It's probably going to be a decision made then.
I will say you have probably one of the better agents in the game. Shout out to Matt. I absolutely love Matt. Matt is the best, man. He's great. And it's kind of funny because he had, he rep 2 of the lefties there in Worcester this past year. And that kind of leads me to, I noticed you had a lefty gang shirt at one point. Down the stretch. There was like 7 guys in there. And I talked about this with so many dudes that there was 7 lefties in Worcester. And it's just insane to me. Was that the most lefties you've ever been around? And what was it like, I guess, being in the pen with all the other left-handers?
Oh, absolutely. It was unreal. I think I've been on countless teams, and I've never been more than one of 2 lefties. And to have 7, I was like, wow, this is wild. And it's a competition. It really is. Like, it fuels you every day when you go out there, because you all can be used in the same situation, but only one person can pitch at a time. So it's fun. It's energetic. It's friendly, but hey man, it's competition at the end of the day.
So growing up, did you know that you wanted to be a baseball player? Did you grow up in a baseball family?
I did. My dad played college ball at App State, so I always had a huge baseball background. I played other sports growing up, football and basketball and soccer, but as the years went on, I just had to find a focus, and one by one, I started dropping the sports, and baseball was what I was best at, so I stuck with it.
What team were you a fan of as a kid? I'm always curious with like some of the more southern states, because it's like, well, you're near Atlanta, so maybe I usually just assume it's the Braves. But
I did, yeah, I was a Braves fan growing up. A huge Chipper Jones fan, Andrew Jones, the big 3 pitchers. I mean, they were the guys I was always watching, because a lot of it because my dad was watching the Braves as well, so it was very easy to keep up with them.
Now this is a little reverse action. It's very polar opposite of what we were just talking about. But your locker was in the back left corner when you would walk in the door. You were kind of next to a good friend of ours, Chase Shugart. What
Yep.
was it like, I guess, just being in that locker room? Like, because we only saw I guess we saw a little bit more than what the casual fan would, but what was it like in there, I guess, when the doors were closed and it's just like you guys were all in there? Like, I didn't know how it was.
It's great. Being in a locker room with a group of guys that you really bond with, especially being in a section of a locker. I mean, it's funny. It does matter where you're at in the locker room, who you're beside, how do you feed off their energy? Do you keep a clean locker? Are you able to sort of be neat in your area? Because either they're going to give you shit for leaving your stuff out, or they might start taking it and hiding it. But it's fantastic when the doors are closed and the team is able to really create a bond and do things like play ping pong for 3 hours or watch TV or play music. I mean, it's something that is so unique.
Who's the best ping pong player in your opinion?
Man, I think it was Bobby Dahlbeck. I think Bobby always came out on top at the end of the day. Politi gave him a good run, and so did Ryan Fitzgerald. But he also had his own paddle. He didn't really let too many people use it, and it was his baby. So I would say Bobby was definitely the best ping pong player.
I think Politi was the most terrifying yet nicest guy I've ever met, because obviously he's a closer, so he's got that closer mindset, so you kind of know he's a little crazy. But when you saw him on the ping pong table, man, holy cow!
It's active. It is. You cannot be in his way. You gotta. He's going to talk shit to you too if you're on the other side of that table. He's going to let you know.
Cole Cottom even brought up that that's the one thing that he remembers most about Politi was his ping pong game is a different level. So
I try to beat it back and forth, just playing a little back and forth game, and it'll get embarrassing real quick when he scores about 17-2.
I always felt bad for Ryan Fernandez because his locker was right behind the table. So if a ball gets smoked, he's just sitting there whatever, man, I'm just gonna have to take this. So what was that? So I did have another thing here. Should I think I'm just gonna ask him. I want to get this out of the way now because it's been a reoccurring theme, I guess, on all the guys we've talked to. We've talked to guys from in the system, from Georgia, from Texas, from Kansas, now from all over the place, man. What is the fried chicken place, the fast food fried chicken place of choice for you?
Oh man, I think growing up, now there's gonna be a lot of hate on this, but I think Cookout for me was always the best chicken tenders.
What is Cookout?
Cookout is a true fast food joint. Majority of cookouts in North Carolina don't have sit downs. It's only drive through or walk up. You get it's a tray for $7. You can get grilled chicken, spicy or fried chicken sandwiches, chicken strips. I mean, you can get it all, and it's for $7. And you get a milkshake with it. It's hard to beat.
They don't have that up here. I don't think, right?
I gotta get back to North Carolina.
Yeah.
Dude. That's the first time we've heard that one. So that's
it's like barbecue. I swear.
Yeah, barbecue.
It's different for each state.
Barbecue is a huge debate in North Carolina because you have the East and West, which is the West is more ketchup-based sauces, and the East is more vinegar-based sauces. And there are absolute rivalries over those. Which one's better?
I'm learning so much stuff about food just by talking to these guys in the system, man. It's just it's insane.
Everybody eats.
Oh, it is. You got to eat
different favorites.
Yeah.
So what was it? What was your experience like, I guess, in Worcester, non-baseball related? Did you guys, I don't know. Worcester has a rep. It's not the greatest city, I guess, in the state, but what was it like, I guess, just living in the town?
It was welcoming, I think, for the most part. Yeah, like you're saying, it wasn't the prettiest city, but they had everything that you wanted to offer. If you like, we would go play simulator golf, or we would go try some new food restaurant, or anywhere that really there was always an opportunity for something different. I think like one of the places was Miss Worcester's Diner. Fantastic place. Serve breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever you wanted at whatever hour. Um, I think even living up, I think I lived in Shrewsbury. They had that lake. I don't even know what the name is. It was like 20 letters long.
I know where you're talking about, though. I had
yeah.
a buddy who lived right off of that. They had like a
Quinn-
canoe that they'd go out in sometimes.
Yeah. Quinnisigum. Yeah, I don't even
I know exactly.
But
Yeah,
it's-
no, I know.
yeah,
I know what
yeah.
you're talking about.
That's a
The
good stab.
community
Good
college
guess.
is named after that.
Yeah. But it was a great time. I enjoyed it. The weather was hard to beat if it wasn't raining. But
Yeah,
There was a
that's
lot
not
of
if it
bad.
was
that.
raining, yeah. We knew there was always going to be a delay if it was raining.
Yeah, I think at one point I was in the locker room and you were kind of like, man, like, is it raining out there? I was like, is a tarp on the field? Like, of course it is, man. Like, we're
Yeah.
in Worcester right now. Like, the tarp is on the field every freaking day, man. It was nuts. But
Oh, yeah.
I do want to talk to you about something because I saw you got a new pair of golf clubs in the middle of the season, I think. You may have had them in the locker room at one point, or maybe it was Shugs. I don't remember, but you're a big golfer. Was that like a COVID thing? Did you get into it a little after COVID, or have you always been golfing?
No, I think COVID is where my drive for golf like was solidified. I actually played golf all my life. I was at a Duke golf camp when I was like 12. So I've always been around golf. My grandparents were huge golfers. My grandma grew up on a golf course. But yeah, I would say COVID, I was playing all the time. And I was like, man, like I got to keep playing golf. This shit is addicting.
Oh yeah. Did you guys? I don't remember if it was just a one-time thing, but I saw Narciso Crook was golfing at the Belmont Country Club. And I knew a lot of you guys golfed all the time. Like, where did you guys have, like, where was your spot, I guess?
The spot that we always had set up was Pleasant Valley.
Okay.
And then otherwise we had several other either country club courses or just local municipals that Mario was able to get us on. But we would try to set it up at least a day or two in advance. But definitely the foursomes were pretty solidified when we'd go on like a road trip. They're like, hey man, like, is everybody playing this week? Like, you think I can jump into the group? Like it was a competition to play golf.
So we talked a little bit about this with Josh Lester the other day, but I'm kind of curious. He mentioned that there's a big jump up in the lifestyle and the ease of traveling between AA and AAA, and then an even bigger one when you go from AAA to the majors. But did you notice any major differences from AA to AAA? Just not necessarily, not so much on the field, but just how you guys live during the season.
Yeah, I think our hotel housing on away trips was consistently better at the AAA level. I think in AA, you would find yourself occasionally at just a very medium range hotel, just a common hotel with not many amenities. And it's not a bad thing. I'm not talking trash on any of them, but you definitely do notice. I mean, you stay at nicer hotels. Bus trips are nicer because you usually have multiple buses. I mean, we went to Buffalo and got a sleeper bus, which I had never done before. So it's always an upgrade for sure.
I've never been on a sleeper bus. Is that like they have cots set up in there, or like
It is
bigger?
It is. So you walk in, the first third of the bus is like a living room, if you could imagine. So there's a couch on each side. There's 2 or 3 beds that are like hanging up sort of at eye level. And then the second third of the bus is all beds. So it's 9 to 12 beds. And then the back third is another couch section with seating and a couple more beds.
So it's kind of like you're traveling around in a little house.
It is. It's got a fridge, it's got a sink, it's got a microwave, it's got a little table if you wanted to sit there and eat. But so it was nice. It was very luxurious.
All right, it's that time of the show, Ed. I got a few random ones. I already asked you the fried chicken question, so I don't even have to worry about that one. They're just gonna be all over the place, so just be ready.
I'm ready.
All right, worst part of your golf game?
Driving.
And
driving
why?
every day.
You slice it.
I'm not consistent enough. Some days I swing easy and it comes off, but then the next day I'm like, man, yesterday was too easy. Let me try to hit it harder, and then that's it. I'm out of play. 6 holes, like it's a bad day.
Does anybody ever give you any crap about you being able to throw a ball 90 plus miles per hour but can't drive a ball?
Oh yeah, Christian Koss does. Yeah, we were huge competitors on the course. We were always, if there was a pair that never didn't play together, it was me and him. Every foursome, every week, we were always playing together. And he would be like, man, like he'd give me a tip one day, and then the next day I'd give him a tip. So it was always back and forth.
I think somebody told us in a recent interview that like Christian Koss is like always golfing, and I saw on his Instagram story he brought his baby and his wife like out there on the course, and he's like, I'm not skipping this. I think I forgot what the caption was. Guy's a grinder, all right. Love that.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, next one. Biggest horror story from your minor league life, because you also played in the era before the CBA.
Yes, man. I think in the 2019 season is the one I can remember because that was pre-COVID season too. So we didn't travel 6 games at a time. Like we would be 3 games in Columbia, 4 games in Aberdeen, 3 games in Brooklyn. Like it was a hell of a travel.
And that was pre. The CBA literally was just this season, correct? Like just started. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was curious about that because I remember I couldn't remember if it was this year or 2 years ago. It seems like it's like forever ago because I know that strike too. It seems like it was like 20 years ago. But
yeah.
All right, this one you're not going to get in trouble with, I promise, because we're pretty cool with a lot of the Worcester guys. But
cool.
Name me one teammate in Worcester, like that was on the roster at the end of the year that you got to play with, that was like just the biggest, like, I don't know, like wild card.
Shit. Man. That's a hard question.
There's no wrong answers at all. I mean,
well, I know it's just trying to put together the right answer, I guess.
I have one in mind, but
I want to hear it. I want to see. It might give me a better, like a more accurate thought.
It just depends on somebody's definition of a wild card, because I had 2 that I was kind of like teetering on. I think one of them, you know what? Yeah, one of them might have been Nick Sogard, just because you never knew what you were going to get every day. It was like he's always going to be one of the loudest in there, but it's just like, oh yeah, like that's Sogard. I hear him.
Sogard can play though. I think you could put him on a major league roster right now and he'd do fine. His game is so similar to his cousins. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean that guy is smooth as can be.
Yeah, you can put him anywhere and he's not gonna like I think he didn't like even play that much outfield and before this year, and he looked perfectly fine out there.
Yeah, wherever he plays is he always carries himself to be very comfortable, no matter where it is. All right, wild card, man.
Come on, I know
I gotta see. The thing is, I'm thinking about the locker room, like the configuration. So I'm in the corner. I feel like I had the best locker. I could view everybody. I think the wild card is Bobby. He would come in and he would be just at the top. He would be ready to go. And then like the next day he would come in like super focused. And it was like, I'm not going to crack a joke to Bobby today.
Yeah.
But then the next day, like he sort of sneaks by you in the dugout going to warm-ups, and he like just says some shit, and you're like, all right, I can be on Bobby's train today.
I was gonna say it was even. I think the same way. I think even like the media people thought the same thing of like, all right, like I'm just gonna walk in and I'm gonna go to Suge and Nails corner because I know it's safe over there. I don't know if it's safe like anywhere else yet, but my wild card is gonna be the guy that when you went straight in, it was a first locker on the right. My man Steven Scott.
Oh, hell yeah.
I think Scotty is one of the like most interesting guys just because like I feel like he's he's very good at baseball and he just does that for fun. It's just like he's like, yeah, like I didn't watch baseball growing up or anything. Like he told us that. And I was like, what? Like we asked him if he was good at the immaculate grid thing, and we were trying to like get his help because Chad Tracy was like talking about it or something. And we went up to him, we're like, hey, like, are you good at immaculate grid? He's like, dude, I couldn't even tell you who played on what team in the past like 100 years. Like he's like, I have no idea. He's like, I just play baseball. That's it. It's like this guy's incredible.
Yeah, we were roommates in Worcester because we both came up at fairly the same time, and I felt the same way. He was such a chill guy at the apartment. We would just watch some TV. There was nothing, and it's not that he was like a boring guy, but he was just consistently calm. And he would just show up to the field and hit 2 dingers on a day, and just be in the locker room and just sit in his locker and just hang out. And I'm like, yo, like you're hitting 330 right now. Like, what are you doing? And then it's just, I agree. Wild card for sure, Steven Scott.
There was a period where it felt like he was hitting like a 3-run homer every game for like a week. Yeah. It was like I can't remember somebody getting that high. And like also just like him learning how to play catcher, like when he was in Double-A. Like it's kind of crazy.
It is, yeah. To switch positions, no matter what position you're switching to, is crazy. But to be a catcher and be the lead guy is a huge responsibility.
Did you ever go to the trailer when he and Big Joe Davis were living together?
I did. Yeah, they cooked me ribs. I swear. They were the best fucking ribs ever. It was so good. We went, it was in Greenville, and it was like me and Suge and I think one other guy. Joe was whipping up the ribs on the fire, and man, it was good.
What they call them? The
meatball gag.
Yeah, the meatballs.
I accidentally told the girl Colleen that did like the one-offs with like some of the guys. Yeah. I accidentally told her that story. I was like, oh yeah, he used to be a meatball bro or something. And she's like, oh, I'm gonna ask him about that on TV or something. I'm like, oh, sorry, man.
Exposed.
Yeah, it's like my bad. I think she made him get like a facial or like a pedicure or something too. I was like, oh man.
Real polar opposites.
Yeah. She had Sogard do the tire change or whatever, but she had Steven Scott do like the manicure pedicure thing. And I'm like, well, you should have flip-flopped those two. Sogard would have really enjoyed the manicure pedicure thing.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Well, I have like about one more because we've taken up about 35 minutes of your time. So sorry about that. But
no, you're totally fine. Shoot it.
I want to know, I guess, like so obviously you're a free agent. Like we kind of talked about it, like what your mindset was, but what's your mindset this offseason? Like, do you have like certain goals that you want to hit? Because obviously, like, you don't know where you're going to be playing or show up at spring training in February. So it's like, what kind of things are you trying to accomplish before that time comes?
I think my baseline is what I did last year. I think I got with an offseason strength coach, Nate Garcia. He actually worked with the Red Sox as an intern several years ago. I think I'm going to try to increase velocity again, just get faster and stronger, and just really develop pitches. I think I got a huge upgrading knowledge on numbers, on how pitches work, on how efficient you can be, and just all facets of it is really what I want to focus on. So the quicker I can get on the mound and the quicker I can just pick up a consistent motion and pick up those pitches is what I'm going to really try to hone down on this year.
I've got one question to end this on. Our friend Ryan Zephyrjan mentioned that you recently had Theo Denlinger make you something in his blacksmith shop. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, no shit. I'll grab it for you. Hold on.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh,
I want to
love
show
this. I kind of forgot about that.
Oh, I wrote it down.
That's a good call by you right there.
I wonder, so I think. Okay.
So he made these two knives.
Oh, whoa!
And they're a deer antler.
That's so cool.
Okay, I like that.
It's unreal. It's unreal. And he was
That
able
is
to
badass.
he was able to engrave the name onto the bottom of it. So they are absolutely badass. And they're razor sharp. Yeah. I remember we just were cutting the shit. I think it was early in Portland, and he just sort of told us, he was like, yeah, I make knives and I make swords and blades. And he even told us, he was like, yeah, like I would sell them in college. I was like, Theo, like, I feel like somebody should have wrote a news article about you to be the crazy medieval guy selling knives out of his dorm, but I guess you never got caught. So good for him.
He kind of looks like that, doesn't he? He kind of looks like a Viking or something.
Oh, absolutely. He's got a tattoo of, let's see, maybe you can see it, but it's this Theo. It's right here.
I think I've seen that. Yeah,
that's cool.
He's got a tattoo on his leg, and he's just he is fully engulfed in it, and it is great to see.
Do you know if a lot of players were like asking him to make them stuff, or was this just sort of like something you talked about a while ago and then he did it?
This is something. It actually Shug bought 4 knives from him that are pretty identical to what I just showed you. So I try to help him out. My boss at work is very into it as well, and I was like, hey man, like I can get you some more business. So yeah, it's a slow thing, but I think it was really cool.
Yeah, I saw he tagged you and Shug, and whenever he kept like giving updates on Instagram, on his Instagram stories.
Yeah,
and man, it's just bizarre that like that guy is creating stuff like that with his hands, but he doesn't do that for a living. Like he's a professional baseball player for a living. He can make that stuff like just with his hands, like in his free time. It's insane, man. I can never do it.
Talent. Yeah.
Well, Brendan, we took up 38 minutes of your time, but thank you so much. It was a pleasure always going to the corner and hanging out in the locker room. And
yes, sir.
It's I don't know. Shug was like definitely a welcoming presence at the beginning of the year and throughout the entire year for me, and just like being the nicest guy possible. And then with guys like you and Taylor Broadway, just like everybody in that locker room, they were all great, but. It was an absolute pleasure, man, getting to meet you this year, and thank you for hopping onto this as well.
Well, hey, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, and wherever you end up, it doesn't even matter if you're back with the Red Sox, if you're back with somebody else. We're gonna be pulling for you. So,
absolutely, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.